Hello. Hi. Live from San Diego. It's Friday night. And sorry about the jiggling. I'm trying to make it. Oh, it's such a fascinating background, isn't it? Such a fascinating background on the back of my thing here. Well, I'm here. Oh, come on. Stay there, you. Hello, everybody. Oh, one person, no person, all person gone, all person gone. I'm still here, fascinating myself. And hello, there is somebody out there watching. Hello, how are you? Welcome. I am Cha, and it is Friday night. I'm here to talk about all kinds of things. We can talk about music, right? I've got old records that I love. Can you tell me what record that is? I know it's backwards, but I have other records behind it that are all popular. Do you recognize any of them? Artists. Oops, wait, that one's really old. That one is like 60 years old. Couldn't even tell you how I acquired that one. But I have a lot of inherited records. I have a lot of records that I collected when I was young. And the last couple of weeks when I've done Friday Night Lives, I've had people come in who are very interested in music, but I'm interested in other things too. Absolutely, 100%. I will talk about music, bands, what you like now in music, what you liked decades ago in music, because I'm old. Yeah, I know some people call me a granny, but I definitely gotta turn off the heater because it's blowing my hair around. Just trying to stay warm. Hey, you know what? We people in San Diego are very Chewa. Hi, Chewa. How are you, my friend? That's my little hello to you. It's good to see you. Told you I might come back. I went and had some food and thought I would come back and try a little later Friday night live and see if there were more people. I'm happy. Yes. Thank you for coming back. I appreciate that. Just thought I would come back and I brought some records. I have boxes and shelves of records, and I don't know if we're going to talk about records. I know I think it was last Friday when I did a Friday Night Live, we went through a whole lot of albums that I have. We didn't go through every album that I have, but we went through a lot of them. But it's a lot of retro stuff. So it's really for people who are interested in, like, well, I mean, vinyl. Vinyl in and of itself just says old, you know, not modern. Hey, I grew up in a generation where we had 8-track tapes that I don't even know that a lot of younger people are aware that there were these things called 8-track tapes before vinyl records. These are vinyl records. These right here. This one, this is a great old classic. But these are like records, right? And even like during the period of time when vinyl records were being pressed, they were producing this thing that they thought was much more modern, which were 8-track tapes. I have none of those left. I never really had many of those because I collected these. And I actually also collected 45s, which are singles. And you could, like, if you couldn't afford to buy the record, you could buy, like, the most popular song that was on the record or on another record or something like that. If you remember what 45s are. Do you remember what 45s are? Okay, well, you retracted it. There you go. Anyways, I don't know. Are you complaining? Are you complaining, Jawa? Because, no, you're not complaining. I don't think a retracted message means you're complaining. I just think it's just, oh, it's just me and you. Is it just me and you? I don't think it's just me and you. I think maybe right now, I'm only seeing that you're here. So I think right now, maybe just me and you. But I'm hoping that other people would come in and join the chat. We could talk about things. We could talk about old timer things, you know, like music and the bands we liked and the times from the 80s and what we did back in those days. Maybe not, though. I'm going to hang out for at least 30 minutes and see what happens. If anyone comes in and wants to get your slippers, you know what? That's really not my jam. So, you know, if that's your whole thing, you're going to have to look elsewhere because I'm not OF. That's great. Yeah. Well, I'm not that. You know, you can go and pay for that somewhere else. That's, you know, I did that as kind of a joke, but I'm not gonna. That's not what I do, my man. Um, what other than that would you want to see in live? I don't even know. And okay, well, let's go back to music because I do have my records here. I have some records here. Old. These are old albums. I mean, they actually have the records in them, right? Look at that. Like, okay, and do you even know, have you ever even heard of a band called The Grateful Dead? Is that the front or the back? This is the front. Have you ever heard of a band called The Grateful Dead? Have you? I have my dad's old Beatles records. Oh, far out. The Beatles records are the Beatles, you know, they are classic. They are definitely something that is part of our history. What? This one too. You know what that says on the top of it? Elton John. I know it's backwards. Elton John. There we go. Right. But that's like, I mean, it's completely different than the Grateful Dead. Because the Grateful Dead were, oh, I didn't put that back right. The Grateful Dead were classic, and they were part of my generation when we grew up, and there was a lot of that. Oh, well, there was a lot of that too. But it was, the Grateful Dead were probably one of the funnest bands to jam to and hang out with. And I love Elton John. Yes, my favorite is Crackdown Rock. Yes, very popular. Elton John. I probably have other Elton John records, but I'm not gonna dig through them right now. probably, if I decided to do a complete Elton John sort of series, I would pull out the 3 or 4 Elton Johns that I had. Oh no. It's asking me if I want to put up a Q&A sticker saying laser tag. I'm like, no, I do not. Jawa, where are you from, Jawa? I'm thinking you don't live in California. I live in California. I live in Southern California, which is, I live in San Diego, which is the very south of California. And we are really close to the Mexico border. I'm like 20 minutes from the Mexico border. So I could drive down there, park on the US side, pay $15 to leave my car in a parking lot. I could walk over the border. I could go into Tijuana. I could eat Mexican, authentic Mexican food. So good. And I could go to all the pharmacies. That's where a lot of people from San Diego go. They go down to San Diego to get drugs because it's cheaper down there. You know, you've got your regular prescription up here in the United States, and it's expensive, right? Medical stuff and prescriptions are expensive, but if you live in San Diego, you can cross the border into Mexico and go to the pharmacies. And a lot of times you can buy the same stuff over the counter that you would have to have a prescription for in the United States. And if you don't have a prescription for it, how about this? This is a fun fact about Tijuana and about Mexico in general. Even if you don't have a prescription for something, you go into a pharmacia and you say you want something, maybe something that's not legal in the United States. The pharmacy person, if they don't sell it over the counter, they'll say, oh, we'll go around the corner and up the stairs, and there'll be a doctor there that will give you a prescription for it. You bring that down to me, and we'll give you the medication you want. So you go up to the doctor and you tell him what you want, and he'll tell you that, well, that's $20 or $40, and he'll ask you a few questions, fill out a form, and make it look real official and everything. And it's kind of just bullshit. And maybe that person does have a doctorate or something in medicine, or I don't know. They can write prescriptions. They will write a prescription for just about anything you want. And it's either, $20 or $40 or whatever they want, right? So you go up to the doctor, talk to the doctor, you give them, and I know this only because I might have partaken in this. Might have. Small chance. But first-hand information. Go up, get it. I went in one time and I had a horrible headache, and the guy just said, go down to the pharmacy and get something. I'm not going to say what it was. And I'll tell you that in the United States, which we can buy over the counter in Mexico, is an opiate. But you can buy it over the counter in Mexico. And if you can't get what you want, they point you around the corner and up the stairs. You go see the doctor. You give him $20 or $40. He'll write you a prescription for anything you want, whatever. You come back down to the pharmacia and you give them the prescription, and they will give you pretty much anything you want. It's kind of crazy. Total lack of pharmaceutical control, but that's the way it is. So that's what Mexico is like. But, well, and honestly, when I first started going to Mexico, I was, I think 18 or 19 years old is when I moved to San Diego from Los Angeles. And we learned that at 18 or 19 years old, you could cross the border and you could drink. It's like, wow, okay. So we started doing that. That was like a big thing back in the, go down there. You could drive down and spend time at the beaches. You get a case of beer for $8, right? A case of beer, a case of Corona for like $6 or $8, right? Here was the win though. We'd all sit on the beach and drink our beers and, our silly asses off at 19 years old. And then you can, if you save your bottles, because it's in bottles, and then you bring your case of empty bottles back, if it was $6 for the case of beer, you'd get $4 back for returning your bottles. So it was like $2 for like a case of beer. So you return your bottles, you get another case of beer. It was horrible. It's just absolute chaos and madness. And that was the 80s. That was back in the 80s. I don't know who is there now. Hello. What do we have? Antonio, show what? They're just for me. Okay, don't get weird, guys. Abdul, hello, pretty. Happy to see you again. I hope you're doing well. Thank you. I hope you're still here. I don't know if I missed you, but Abdul, glad to see you too. I'm glad you found me again. It's nice to see people that I am familiar with. I like that because I'm pretty new to doing live streams and I enjoy it. I have all kinds of stories to tell. It depends on what kind of stories you want to hear. You want to hear about like cars being stolen. You want to hear about stereos being stolen out of cars. You want to hear about, um, oh, the days of me in the 80s being a cocktail waitress. Oh, I was a cocktail waitress in the 80s, and it was a great way to make a living. But there wasn't a lot of protection for the women, and the women were required to wear very short skirts. And we had to carry our trays up, and people would pay us very well to bring them drinks. I worked in a place that had live music every night, and it was always very crowded. And this was before there were a lot of drunk driving laws. Fantastic. Hi, how are you? Thanks for coming in. Abdul, I want to hear when you are going to visit us in Morocco. I would love to come to Morocco, but it's not really in my plan right now because I have to work and I don't really have that kind of money to travel, but I'm sure it's very beautiful there. What's the weather like in Morocco this time of year? We're having like a heat wave. It's beautiful. It's probably, I think today it was like 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It was really lovely. It was really nice. Loved it a lot. It was a good day. It was a good day until I took my car in to get, oopsie. I had to get my car worked on and my receipt, that was my receipt. Yeah, I know it's backwards, but I'll tell you, it was a lot of money. But at least my car is fixed and will keep me going for the next probably couple years. So there we go. Visit Morocco, right? Well, I would love to go travel. I used to travel a lot in the 80s. I got a lot of stories about that. Holy cow. Mein Frau, mein Frau. I remember men yelling that. yeah, well, that was the thing. That was the thing. I got scammed. I got um, picked up at the airport, and like I was so innocent. I was like 18, 19 years old. Um, oh, okay. I don't know. YouTube keeps popping things up on there, like to put up like little like surveys or I don't know polls and stuff. I mean, like I don't really know. It's just on my phone, so I I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Um, yeah, I remember in Europe, I traveled a bunch on my own, and I remember getting picked up by a guy in Paris, and I don't know whether he was on the plane or something. For some reason, I felt comfortable with him, and I got in his car, and he was supposed to drive me to my friend's house, a girlfriend from high school who had been living there for a year and studying, and he didn't. He took me to his house. Of course, I was too dumb to realize that was a bad idea to get in a car with a man in a foreign country. And he took me to his house and he started getting all like scary. I was scared. And I had my luggage and I had my passport. I had no idea where it was. And I don't know, for some reason, he left the house. Again, he took me to his house, so I didn't know where I was. But for some reason, he left for a hot minute, and I just grabbed my bag. And back then, they didn't have roller bags. It was like I had to pick it up and carry it. And I ran out of that house. I just started running down streets. I did not know where I was or where I was going. This was the 80s. We didn't have phones or anything like that. I just realized I had made a really bad decision. But luckily, the guy split for a minute and I took off. So, yeah, I was a bit of a thing. Abdul, I want to. Okay, so no new messages. All right. Fino. I am. I guess I'm not getting a lot of. Okay, so we could talk about. We could talk about the music. Again, I've got the music, but the music only goes so far, right? Right? Do you want to see the music? Do you want to see it? Do you see what this is? Right. It's a big album. Are you familiar? Do any of these things look familiar? Has anyone heard of the Grateful Dead? Has anyone out there even heard of the Grateful Dead? I don't think anyone has. I think that I'm talking to a really distant. Hi, Jayla. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm trying to find a common denominator between the people that are watching and myself because it doesn't, I am, oh my goodness. Does anyone ever go outdoors? And like, what kinds of things do you like to do outdoors? I like to go walking and I go to the beach and I go to the bays and that's where I make a lot of shorts that I put on my channel that are nature related. And I really love doing that. I love doing that a lot. And I know, Jay, what you want to see. what you want to see, but you can go somewhere else. You like older women, though, right? And people sometimes call me a granny, right? Fantastic, Bloxy. Hi, hi, hi. I don't know who's there. Who else is there? It depends on the mood. Oh, to go outside and go walking around. Yeah, I mean, if the weather is nice, I like to go outside and walk. It is one of my favorite things to do, is to just spend time outdoors. And but it's hard because I have to figure that out with, like, between work and family obligations and other things. So, um, you know, but I do like the bay and the beach and the mountains and the plains and lakes. I go to lakes and walk around the lakes, and I just like to be outside in nature. It's it's beautiful and it makes me happy, and I will do it all day long, as as long as I can, probably. You know. Hmm. But I guess the albums weren't intriguing tonight. That's the Elton John. This was the Grateful Dead. This is the Elton John. Then I have my one of my this is one of my very favorite albums forever. Leonard Skinner, pronounced Leonard Skinner, right? There's the back. That's the back. That's the inside. It's got all the lyrics, right? I have a lot of albums. And I did this last week. We did a whole album thing, but and then this is like truly ancient. This is Elvis. Good old Elvis. For anyone who even knows, I would have to look and see what year this was. Because a lot of these over here are like late 70s. This is, oh, hot dog. This one is 1958. How about that? That's kind of hot. Good old, that's Elvis before he got fat. It's Elvis before he got on opiates. So, 1958. I didn't even realize it's got this whole story on the back of it. I had no idea that I had an album that old. I do have some older albums, but I had no idea that this one was that old. And it tells the whole story back here. It has Hound Dog, Loving You, All Shook Up, Heartbreak Hotel, Jailhouse Rock, Love Me, Too Much, Don't Be Cruel, That's When Your Heartaches Begin, Teddy Bear, Love Me Tender, Treat Me Nice, Any Way You Want Me, I Want You, I Need You, I Love You. That kind of sounds like a Cheap Trick song, but okay. It depends on the mood. Mostly I like to spend my free time with friends and having coffee, beers, maybe dinner outside. That sounds really nice. That does sound really nice, Abdel. Sometimes I prefer to sit at the bar alone and have a drink. Yeah, I get that. Is that Elvis Presley? Yes. This is Elvis Presley. He died, I think, in 1977. So this was like 19 years before he died. This was when he was at his prime. The picture, anyways. Um, this album was pressed, and this was created in 1958. So, I don't know, 68, 78, 98, 08, 18, 58 years ago. Oh no, longer than that. Wait, I'm lying. That's not right. 58, so 60 plus 66 or 7 years ago. That's a lot. That's older than me, baby. That's older than me. So, yeah, that's old. Yeah, right. Not quite 70, but late, like, late in the 60s. But that is what the picture of him, he was so young then. He was so young, right? And that's just crazy that I still have that thing there. Right. But it's not my favorite. I mean, I love Elvis, but it's not my favorite. Certainly not. Yeah. Yeah. So, Abdel, what do you do during the day? Is it daytime there? I think it must be. Are you in India? And if you are, is it, I think it's Saturday, right? Saturday morning or noon, midday? I don't know. I don't know. I think that's where you are. Uh-huh. Okay. Well, this has been really fun. I appreciate you all being here. Um, I don't. I'm in Morocco. Oh, that's right. You said you're in Morocco. I'm sorry. It's 5:15 a.m. Well, you're up very early. You're up very early. Do you always get up that early? It's 9:15 p.m. for me. It's Saturday, but still watching your live. I appreciate that. But you get up very early then, yeah? I mean, that is really early. I remember, because I looked at, right, my little funky map down here when you had it last time. I had to figure out where you were, right? It's still, my map is still here. And I looked at Morocco, I'm like, yep, still there. Hasn't changed, not yet. 5:15 a.m. You didn't sleep yet. So what were you doing all night? What were you doing all night, Abdel? What were you doing up all night? Do you go out to like restaurants and clubs and I've heard a lot of things about Morocco, but I don't really know because I haven't been there. But I know you're laughing. It's like, what is that? Because you were out all night, or you were just up like partying all night, or what do you do there? I've been waiting for your life. Well, that's great. Thank you very much. I don't believe you. You're funny. You're funny though. Um, yeah. I truth. Come on. Send me some truth. What were you doing? I wanna live vicariously through you. What sort of fun, if I came to Morocco, what sort of shenanigans would a girl like me get up to? A woman like me, because I'm not a girl anymore. I'm an adult woman. What would I get up to, on a Friday night? But I'm thinking for you, it's Saturday morning, right? It's still Friday night here, but you're around the world in the morning time. So, what were you doing from 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. that kept you up until 5 a.m.? And then, are you gonna sleep after 5:15 a.m.? Do you sleep until noon? Or I guess it's Saturday, so one could sleep until noon if they don't have something to do. So there's that. Yeah. Okay, my dear. Well, what we got? Shannon Gosh. This. Hello, Shannon Gosh. How are you? Welcome. Just hanging out. We were looking at records, and I was telling stories about going to Mexico and getting into trouble and such. So, one of the best stories of me going to Mexico and almost getting in really, really big trouble was I was like 21, and I went with a friend of mine who was Mexican American, but he had been raised in Mexico, and he was like, I was like 21, he was like 40 years old. So, there was like some oddity there. But I met him through where I worked, and he was well known as a dealer for the white snow stuff. And back in the 80s, we dabble in that, right? Thank you, Shadon. Yes. Well, welcome in. My weird stories. Oh, you probably adiosed already at this point. But, so this person, and his name was Richard. And I think I can say the name Richard because this was 40 years ago. Haven't seen the man in 35 years or something. But he invited me to go down to Mexico. He had a Porsche, because he lived the life because he was a drug dealer for the most part, I think. I think he worked in construction technically, but I think he made the most of his money back in the 80s from like selling drugs. Um, and but he was a real nice guy, and he used to come into this restaurant where I was cocktail waitress. He'd come in there every day. He was regular, and he invited me to go to Mexico with him. Abdel, honestly, I'm a restaurant manager, and most of the time we closed late. Then I went to meet my friend, so I came back home late because of the weekend, and I'm off. I didn't take the sleep early. Okay, totally makes sense. Yeah, see, the story I'm telling is about working in a restaurant, is about working in a bar. I was working at a bar. That's how I met this guy, Richard, who was the drug dealer, right? And we dabble in it. He would invite people over after the restaurant, after the bar would close. We had live music every night. And the cocktail waitresses, we'd be there. The bars would close at like 1:30 to 2. And we'd finally get out by about 3. And yeah, no, I understand that. And mostly we just go home. But sometimes he would invite everyone over to his house, which wasn't that far away. And he had a lot of drugs and beer and booze and stuff. And we would stay up until the sun came up. And not saying that that's the right thing to do or the right way to behave, but yes, we did do that back in the 80s. We did a lot of drugs and we drank too much and we stayed up too late. We slept on a lot of weird couches and life was just that way. So you know already how is the work there. I'm closing. Yeah, absolutely. You know, from many, many years ago. I don't do that anymore. But back in those days, yeah, absolutely. We'd be up, you know, we'd be, at least we'd get off work by 2 or 3 o'clock. And so a lot of times I'd just go home, you know, it's like, can't do it every night of the week. But then occasionally it was a weekend and we didn't care. And so we'd go over to this guy's house and just party all night long. This was like hardcore party. This was 1985, 1986, 1987 kind of partying where it was no holds barred. There were no rules. There was no drunk driving laws. I mean, it was just chaotic. And it was this guy invited me, this guy who would have these parties, he invited me, like I said, he was Mexican American. He invited me to go, I don't remember, at some point to Mexico. You know, let's go down to Rosarito for the weekend. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's go to Rosarito for the weekend. And I went the week that we were gonna go, I wound up getting kind of sick and I didn't feel good. And so I kind of called him up and said, yeah, I don't really feel that good. I don't think I want to go to Mexico. And he said, I'll let you drive the car. He's like, come on, let's go. I'll let you drive the car. Well, he had a Porsche. He had this brand new, beautiful Porsche car. And I was like, what? I kind of don't feel good. And I don't know about that. Anyways, he wouldn't take no. And I finally gave into it. And he picked me up, scooped me up, and immediately gave me some drugs, probably. Not gonna say for sure. But, and we went down. It's very easy to get across the border from San Diego in Mexico. And this part of San Diego, it's like 20 minutes to get to the Mexico border into Tijuana. So you drive straight through. Nobody stopped you back at that. Certainly, well, they don't now, but certainly back in the 80s, they didn't give a hoot. And so we drove through the border. We're driving through Tijuana, and we get to the part where you're leaving Tijuana, and then there's this long stretch to heading down to Rosarito, which is like an hour. And he pulls the car over, and he knew I didn't feel good, and I didn't really want to be there. And he got out of the car, and he goes, come on, get out, you're driving. And I was like, come on. And he probably gave me a little more drugs. I can't remember. Might have happened. Don't know for sure. Anyways, we switched places and he let me drive his car. I have never driven a Porsche before, but down there, like the speed limits don't really count. So I was just going for it. I was like, shoo, we were going and I was high as a kite. I didn't even remember that I was sick anymore. I was just going and going and going and going. And it was so much fun. So much fun. Can't even tell you what kind of a memory that was. It was just a fantastic memory. Weird thing was, well, no, it wasn't even weird. So he got a hotel for us. And mind you, he was 40 and I was like 21 or 22. and I wanted nothing to do with him. And he actually respected that. He really didn't. He didn't like push that on me at all. Um, but one night we were down there for probably 3 nights or something, and one of the nights that we were there, and he had a lot of the white snow drugs um, with him always. And we were in his car, he was driving, we were in Rosarito, and the police, yeah, came up and put their lights behind us. We got pulled over, and luckily, as I mentioned, he was Mexican American. He spoke perfect Spanish because he grew up in Mexico, and they spoke to him, and they were, the way it is when you go to Mexico, they're always going to shake you down. Especially the police are always going to shake you down, no matter. Every time I've driven a car or been in a car where we go into Mexico, they size up the car and then they figure out how much they can shake you down for. So we got pulled over and they spoke in Spanish. I don't really know what they were talking about. But then the guy gets back in his police car, and my friend says to me, Richard says to me, he says, well, we have to go to the police station. And I was like, oh dear, that's not good. And we're supposed to follow the police car like down the road and then around the corner and to the police station. And as we're following the police car, he hands me a baggie of, the white snow. He hands it to me and he says, when we make this turn, this U-turn, stick your hand out the window and drop it. And I was like, okay. So I took it, and as we made the U-turn, I stuck my hand out the window and I just dropped it. We continued to follow the popo to the police station. They asked him to get out of the car. They let me stay in the car. Thank God they didn't take me in the police station, because only bad things happen to white women in Mexican jails. So he went in, Richard went in with them, and he was probably gone for 45 minutes. And I don't know how much money he had to pay them or whatever to get out of this. But eventually he came back out to the car, and he gets in the car and he's like, yeah, we're all good. We're all good. I took care of it. And so then we pull out and we're leaving. And he's like, yeah, but we're going to go back and pick that up. So we go back to where the U-turn was, where I dropped the such on the ground. And he jumps out of the car and he looks around on the ground. He finds it. He picks it up and he puts it back in the car. Oh my gosh, really? That's pretty some ballsy stuff. But he did. He picked it up. We drove back to the hotel and the party kept going. The party kept going. But that was the 80s, You just pay off the policia. And I'm sure that's what he did. He just, because they just pegged him because he was in a very expensive car for those days, certainly. But I think he got away with it because he spoke Spanish, and he was Mexican. So I think he got away with it, Did you like that story? That was a good one, huh? That's an absolutely 100% true story. And my favorite part of that whole weekend with this guy, he was in the end, he was a really decent guy. He was a really nice guy. And he did protect me. And he never took advantage of me. But my favorite part was I didn't want to go because I had the flu or something. And he kind of, not that he forced me to go. That wasn't my favorite part. but that he let me drive his car. He said, "This will make you feel better. Drive the car." And once we got into Mexico, into a safe area, he let me drive. And driving that Porsche was amazing without speed limits. And I'm in Mexico, and I'm just driving this Porsche like, wow. And I'm kind of high because I think that, uh, I'd been offered some drugs, and, it was just, this was the 1980s. This was probably 1986 or 1987, if memory serves me. So, yeah, it was sort of mid to late 80s. And that stuff went on then. It doesn't, I don't know what goes on now. I wouldn't go down to Tijuana anymore because the cartels have really taken over quite a bit. It's a bit different now than it was back then. So, you know, I I wouldn't have a problem probably parking on the US side and walking over the border into Tijuana to buy pharmaceuticals or to just have lunch or something like that, and then walking back all during the daytime. I would do that now. I would feel comfortable doing that now, but I haven't driven down south in Mexico in over 15 years. So, and I've heard some stories, so I'm kind of careful about that. Okay. You asked me what a woman in your age can do in Morocco. First of all, let me tell you that age is just a number. It's all about soul. I see that you have young soul and spirit, and I really admire your energy and positivity. Well, thank you. Thank you. I am 60. I am not I'm a, I'm over the hump, you know. That's all it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, I thank you all for being here. It's been a fun time, and I appreciate you all being here. I look forward to seeing you next time. This was kind of slow. It's Friday night, baby. But I love you all. Take care. What was that? One last message. The magic and beauty of traveling and discovering Abdel. Yes. So I prefer not to tell you exactly what you can do here, but believe in Morocco, you would find everything you need and many activities you can. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will think about Morocco. I haven't traveled in a long time. And Morocco, I will think about it, Abdel. Thank you. I hope I see you again soon. Have a good night. Have a good night. Good night.